So it's as if this bill is just being put forward, another dog whistle, just something for the Tory party to campaign on rather than actually attempting to solve a problem.
John Penrose, you strike me as a fairly moderate chap. I mean, you can't really be happy with this bill.
I would, I think, start by respectfully disagreeing with Bell's last comment. I mean, I think that the difficulty that we've got is that anything up until now, anything that's legal doesn't work, and anything that works isn't legal, and that's the difficulty. That's why, to answer Lord Fawkes' question, that's why it's sort of got to sort of loom so large politically.
Can I ask what's legal that doesn't work?
So it has been, well, let's start with the
Clause 4, for example.
Yeah, well, thank you, and also the fact we've already had the Supreme Court striking down the previous attempt. So the difficulty, I think, is that you need to come up with something which will work. I happen to believe that, based on what we've seen with returns agreements, where we've got returns agreements in places like Albania, there is a deterrent effect which really can make a big difference. But time
when only
will
200
tell.
people are going to be sent there.
But my point is that if you believe that it will work, and we can go into the details of that if you want to in a minute, Ian, but on the presumption that you do believe it'll work, then it does make sense to try and push this through, and it does make sense to say, look, what we're doing at the moment hasn't been enough. I mean, in spite of everybody's best efforts, and we're processing more claims faster than ever before, and there's lots of enforcement agreements with the French and all those things, and none of that has actually been sufficient. So
we haven't tried
have to keep
the ultimate thing that the experts are saying that we should do, which is safe and legal routes. If there were safe and legal routes, then we wouldn't have this issue. I don't think it's even correct to describe those that are coming over as illegal migrants, because it's not illegal to seek asylum. We've only created some legal routes for people coming from Ukraine, for example, people coming from Afghanistan, but there are so many others that don't have a legal route to come.
So I mean, I guess the reason why I would, again, respectfully disagree with you there, Belle, is that there will always be, no matter how widely you draw the legal framework for admitting migrants, there are always going to be some people who fall just outside it, and so there will always be a market for the people traffickers to access, and so therefore you could treble, quadruple, quintuple the number of people who arrive by legal routes, and you'd still have people turning up and paying money to the people traffickers. You've actually got to break.
Not so many.
Well, no,
So
that's the point.
There
are millions of people who are on the move at the moment in a way which hasn't been the case because we've got things like digital, social media and so forth. So I think it is, by no means sure, Ian, that just because you've admitted more people legally, the number of people getting into boats and chancing it will go down. I think that is absolutely not proven at all, and very probably wrong.
But you seem to be saying, well, something must be done, so let's try this even though we're not sure it'll work.
Well, I think I'm saying I think it's got a very good chance of working, and nothing else that anybody else has come up with has got anything like this sort of this chance. And the point about it is that if you look at what's going on with, for example, I mentioned before, the Albanian returns agreement, which is a sort of one-to-one, country-to-country agreement. That has actually had a huge effect on the number of Albanians getting into boats and coming across the channel. And that's because they know that if they get here, they'll get sent straight back. Now, if you can do that for other countries where you can't get returns agreements because they're failed states or whatever it might be, then you can at least, I think, reasonably expect that that's going to have an equivalent effect. Now, a number of my colleagues are worried it won't have enough of effect, and while I don't necessarily agree with them, I do kind of respect their concerns, but they're arguing it from the other side than the one that you're arguing it.
But aren't there far more of your colleagues who rebelled today than even you might have thought, and therefore that puts the third reading of the bill tomorrow in jeopardy?
Well, we'll see tomorrow, I guess, is the point. But the number of people who'd signed the rebel amendments, I think, was largely in line with the number of Conservatives who rebelled. There were also some DUP that bumped the numbers up a little bit as well. So it was roughly in line. But the question is now, they are worried that it isn't going to be tough enough. I think it would be odd, and I hope they will be persuaded, but, they're friends, and I respect them, even though I don't necessarily agree with them about this. I hope they'll be persuaded that it would be odd to vote it down, because they don't think it's tough enough.
Leave that to the House of Lords.
Yeah, go back to the House of Lords. But
yes.